Compliments. Let's talk about them. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's that time of the afternoon. I'm having a cup of coffee, and I thought we'd just have a bit of a chat. Bobby is sat here curled up behind me on my brand new blanket, my furry blanket, and she's loving it. So she's old. She's like 20 years old. So I thought I'll just let her be. But anyway, guys. I wanted to talk about compliments on the weight loss journey, because if you're anything like me, you're not used to them, and it can be a little bit awkward to receive a compliment. So yesterday I had a lovely compliment, and somebody said, they said, you look really young. They said they said that I always looked really nice, always look young, but yesterday, for whatever reason, I was looking particularly youthful. And I was just, you know what, that's really nice. That's really nice. And it was a lovely compliment, but I felt a little bit awkward receiving it. And I don't know why, because it was a beautiful compliment. But it's still up here. It's still up here because, you know, for many, many years, I didn't receive compliments. I would get a lot of negative feedback, people commenting about my size, how I looked, that I needed to lose weight. And I never felt like the pretty one in the group. I always felt like really unattractive. So when I got this beautiful compliment saying that I looked really well, I always look young, but yesterday, I looked particularly youthful, thought was really nice. And then today, somebody said to me, I was in the queue in the range, and I'll show you in my next video what I got in the range, because I got some lovely bits and bobs for autumn. But I was in the range, and I was in the queue, and I noticed that the shop assistant kept like looking at me. Well, she was on the tail, and I just kept noticing that she kept looking up at me, because I'm in the queue and I'm like thinking they need to put more people on the till, because I'm like, the queue is really long. There's only 2 people on, and I'm thinking, you know, who's going to be serving me next? But I kept noticing the shop assistant, the girl on the till, kept looking at me. And at first I'm thinking, why is she looking at me? That was the first thing that was going through my head. I was like, you know, have I got like makeup all over my face, or is my nose dirty, or, you know, I've got my knickers on my head or something. I was just like, why is she looking at me? And I was feeling really, really uncomfortable. Anyway, she ended up serving me, and as I went to her, she said, her words were, she says, I must say, I think you're extremely beautiful. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. She said, I noticed it, you in the queue, and I kept looking over at you. She says, I couldn't keep my eyes off you. She says, because you're extremely beautiful. And I was like, that was so nice. I felt a bit embarrassed that she said that, but I thought, you know what, that is so nice. It was really nice of her to say so. And I was like, I'm doing well. 2 compliments in 2 days. But it just got me thinking about how we deal with compliments. Because as I say, if you're anything like me, it probably is a little bit hard to land. It's lovely that I get them, but really it doesn't always feel right for me, because I've had so many years of not getting compliments, or, you know, being told you need to lose weight, you're really big, and all of that negative. So yeah, I suppose the one thing that I've learned is, when I used to get compliments, like more recently, because if you've been following me, you know, I've been on my journey now for 6 years, I used to like brush it off. I was like, oh. oh, I've just thrown on any old thing today, or I'd say, oh, it must be my new makeup, or it must be the colour of my new lips, or it must be the lighting. I would always make an excuse. And what I realised was whenever I do that, I am minimising and negating the person who's giving me the compliment. I'm negating their views and almost like saying your view is invalid. I don't, you're wrong. And it was kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of like saying, you're saying I look nice, but actually you're wrong. That was what I was saying when I wouldn't accept the compliment. So now, what I've learnt to do is when somebody gives me a compliment, even if I don't feel comfortable accepting it, I just say thank you. I say thank you. That is so kind of you to say so. I really appreciate what you're saying. And that's more about acknowledging their view and their perspective and their feeling and their kindness in giving me that compliment, because they don't have to give me the compliment. And then I have to continue working on me to be able to acknowledge and accept that compliment. I'm better when people give me compliments about my looks and how I look. But when it's about my weight loss or my size, because, I at my biggest, I was like a 24, 26, and the 26 was tight on me. And now I'm more toward, I'd say on average, I'm a good 12, 14, depending on what the dress, the style, the cut is. I could be a 10. So between a 10 and a 14, I do fluctuate. So when people give me compliments about my size, so they might say something like, gosh, you've lost a lot of weight, or gosh, your waist is really small in that, or look at your legs are really, really slim. When people give me those compliments, those are so much harder for me to accept. And whilst I will still say, oh, thank you, that's really kind, in my head I'm kind of thinking, I don't like you complimenting, oh, I don't like you talking about the size of my legs or the size of my ass or whatever. I don't like you talking about that, mentioning that. That's what's going on in my head, because for years I've had so much negative feedback about my size, and whilst it was about me being big, now I'm smaller, it is still about my size, and it doesn't sit naturally, it doesn't sit well with me. So I will still accept the compliment, but it's harder for me to take. Harder for me to take, because I just think, it's caught up in a lot of that baggage. It's caught up in baggage. So yeah, I've just learned to say thank you. That's really kind. And the other thing is, people often say, gosh, you've lost loads of weight. How have you done it? How have you done it? And usually I would just say, you know what? I've just invested in me, lots of self-care and just making healthy choices. I don't go into the whole, I used to do Weight Watchers and then I started on Mounjaro. I don't do any of that backstory. I just like, I just started investing in myself and making healthy choices and living healthily every day. And I kind of leave it at that, because I'm like, it becomes really personal, gets on a personal level. And especially if it's like people I haven't seen for a long time, or you know, yeah, it's usually it's people I haven't seen for a long time. I'm like, there's a reason I haven't seen you for a long time. You know, other than if you're family or a really good friend. But if it's somebody I've worked with, or you know, it might be the neighbour or somebody down the road, yeah, I don't like to get into it, so I'll just leave it at that and just say, yeah, I've just been making some healthy choices. But yeah, I'd love to know, how does compliments sit with you? Are you comfortable when you receive compliments, or is it a little bit harder to take? Yeah, I'd be interested, because you know, most people would be like, oh, you know, I've given her a compliment, she should be happy. But depends what our backstory is, depends what baggage we've got. It still may be, even the most loveliest compliment may be hard to take. Yeah. So like another one is, if people compliment me on my nails, that's very hard for me to take. Very hard. Only because it's not so much about the nails, it means they're looking at my hands, and I'm very uncomfortable with my hands because the arthritis and the health problems I have in my hands. And I'm like, oh, they're noticing my hands, they're noticing how knobbly and my hands are. My hands are a source of pain for me. So yeah, so people do compliment me on my nails and my nail colour, but that leaves me really uncomfortable. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a thought, just a thought. Yeah, so there's work for me to do, because losing £175 might have changed my body size, it might have changed my body shape, but there's a lot of work to do on my mindset. Yeah, a lot of work still. Anyway, guys, that's just a thought, my thought of the day. Where are you on that? Do drop a comment. Just drop a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video, and if you're enjoying my this series of vlogs for Vlogtober, then give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and also click the notification bell if you've not done so already. But guys, there's a new feature called Hype, and you can just click the Hype button, and it's a way for you to interact with me. So click that Hype button. But the other thing it does, it shows people that how many people have hyped it as well, so it just helps with the algorithm and putting it out there. So yeah, give this video a hype. I'll have to, you know, find a little action, because when I say subscribe and then click that notification bell, you know, like, so I'm gonna have to find one for hype. Anyway, guys, whatever you do, have a lovely day. But join me tomorrow, because right now I've got some stuff sitting in front of me that I've picked up from the range and also Home Bargains, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with them, and we're going to create a wreath and do a bit more autumn decorations. So join me on the very next video, guys, and I'll show you what we're going to do. All right then, have a lovely day, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye bye.